So they're a bucket of black paint and a brush. That's the Anti-Defamation League. And then if you say anything about them, demonize, you must be a racist.
But those conspiracy theories fall apart when you remember the little clues scattered around the Spotlight office. And then the conspiracy theories seem believable again when you learn that just a few months ago, a Denver couple were awarded nearly $10 million because the ADL had falsely accused them of anti-Semitism.
Thank God for the jury system.
You feel your name has been cleared now?
It sure has. And that's all we really want to say. This has been 5.5 years.
We're obviously disappointed, but beyond that, I don't think we want to say anything.
Gale's point was that the Spotlight is racist, so they must also be wrong about Bilderberg.
Jim Tucker, for example, has to know that the Spotlight support the notion of Holocaust denial. So his judgment on other things has to be questioned as well.
But I wasn't convinced. I felt I had to meet Bilderberg members. As the months progressed, our Portuguese car chase became the stuff of legend within the conspiracy theory world. Anti-New World Order talk shows were aflame with reports of my bravery.
Come on over here and get on TV with me. That can be part of your film, you know. You were invited on the extremist broadcast because you guys actually made national, international news. I covered it here like last year in Central Portugal. You had some guy in black sunglasses try to run you off. And
well, we went to a Bilderberg meeting in Portugal, and we tried to get into the meeting, and then a man in a dark green Lancia chased us all over Portugal. But it turned out okay.
All right, bud. Well, certainly good talking to you, and we're just glad to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, you bet.
I spent months contacting Bilderberg attendees for interviews, but most, like Peter Mandelson, didn't even reply to my letters. I remembered something that Paul Luckman had said back in Portugal about Bilderberg's culture of secrecy.
I'm talking to one of the editors on the business desk, city desk. But the minute I mentioned Bilderberg, it just changed the subject. Totally. Can you imagine? Said, "Did you hear what I said?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Do you know about them?" "Yeah, I've heard about them." And just nothing else. The conversation does not happen. We don't even talk about it.
So it was all the more incredible that after months of trying, I was suddenly invited to meet the Secretary General of the Bilderberg Group, a secret ruler of the world himself, should you believe the conspiracy theorists. But you have done very well in keeping Bilderberg out of the public consciousness. There's no denying that. And that's what you wanted to do, is keep it out of the public consciousness.
We don't... I don't think it's true to say that we want to keep it out. We've never wanted to get it in. We don't encourage people to mention it in the mainstream press because we don't encourage, idle speculation about what we do. We forbid individual attendees to give press meetings at our conferences. And we do that not because we're secrecy mad, but because we want to control the politicians who come. I mean, if we let them, they would all give press conferences. They all want to be on television every day. They're insane.
You can't get people to talk honestly to one another, especially in front of political opponents in their own country, if they're going to be quoted, because people will only talk freely if they know they're not going to be quoted and distorted by prurient, ambitious journalists like you.
It's a private organisation, and we live in an age which can't distinguish privacy from secrecy. And privacy is then seen as secrecy, and secrecy is sinister by definition.
Why are you happy to talk about it?
Because you asked me. Especially if I'm answering claptrap from idiots who have no knowledge of it, but think they can improve their public image by attacking it.
An appropriate venue is a comfortable, but not necessarily luxurious, hotel, which is remote and peaceful, but not too far from a major airport. And there aren't many of those. We invite people to come to the meeting and we organise the panels, and somebody orders the wine and food.
So, are you like a headhunter? Because a lot of people who've been to Bilderberg have gone on to be president or prime minister.
Tony Blair came the year I first went, 93, that's right, and Bill Clinton a couple of years before he became president. We're looking for people who are thoughtful, either are or are going to be influential. I don't think we're as good at talent spotting as you suggest, actually.
Conspiracy theorists, of course, say that it's not about talent spotting, it's about bringing these people in and then making them the next president or prime minister.
If the conspiracy theorists saw the difficulty we had in actually organising a meeting, I don't think they would credit us with such supernatural powers.
It was never a policy-making organisation. It was always a policy-discussing organisation. David Rockefeller was involved, Henry Kissinger also, Jack Hines, who was the head of the Heinz Baked Beans Corporation. And it was a way of bringing together politicians, industrialists, financiers, and journalists from the whole of the Western world to talk about things so that they had a better feel for one another's attitudes. And as you know, politics should involve people who are not politicians.
Yeah, well, I think he made a mistake by being so secret at the early stages. And I think initially there was a lot of secrecy. But secrecy is rather stupid. And I think Bilderberg would probably agree that they made a mistake. And some of the business people get rather carried away, and old Henry Kissinger arrives with his security posse and everything like this. But it does have a serious element in that some of these people have actually had their lives threatened.
Conspiracy theorists say that the ultimate Bilderberg agenda is a one-world government.
I think that's exaggerated, but not totally unfair, in the sense that those of us in Bilderberg really felt that we couldn't go on forever fighting one another for nothing and killing people and rendering millions homeless. And to the extent that we could have a single community throughout the world would be a good thing.
Does it help a career to go to a Bilderberg meeting?
No, I don't think going helped your career. I think, in a way, when you got a job, you had more influence in the global field.
Isn't that in some way a conspiracy?
Oh, come off it, dear boy. Look, you get on in the BBC because you suck up to the people who will say, look, go and talk to Dennis Healey.
Channel 4?
Yes, that's right. Oh, no, Channel 4 even worse, because that's commercial. I mean, you might as well say you're really trying to promote the interests of the people who advertise on Channel 4. Even I don't believe that.
As always in conferences of this kind, many of the most important interactions take place privately, over the breakfast table.
Hearing the Bilderbergers talk made me wonder whether they were a conspiracy, and they just didn't realise that they were.
People who are there and talk privately at a dinner deserve to have their conferences respected. For me, the value has been building a group of friends, a network, if you like, people who I've come to know and have come to know me.
In the end, maybe the secret room is no more than a place to network, just like any golf club. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? It depends on whether you're a member of the golf club. The conspiracy theorists are right. The New World Order exists, although we have a different name for it.
They're by and large internationalists. The business people tend to come from the bigger international companies, and it is very sensible.
But that is the world. That is the way it happens in the world, and quite rightly so. What's wrong with that?
And what happens to those people who oppose this New World Order? They're like twigs in the tidal wave.
If you don't have the right attitude, if you don't have the right belief system, you can be put up against a wall by these people. That's what they do.
People who went to Bilderberg meetings as many times as Dennis Healey, including the first one, there's no way they don't know what it's really about. No way.
Is Dennis Healey a shape-shifting reptile?
Don't know. I haven't done his genealogy, but does he know what's going on? Absolutely.
One day, a few months ago, A bike messenger pulled up outside my house and dropped a package through the door. It was the minutes of the Bilderberg Portugal conference. Clearly someone within Bilderberg considered me a fellow traveller. I was curious to know what Jim might make of it.
Are you at liberty to tell me who gave it to you?
I don't want to tell you.
Okay.
I don't want to tell you. Is it exciting to have this document?
Oh, yes. There's no such thing as too much information.
The truth was clear and uncomfortable. There was no smoking gun, no plots, no intrigue. It could have been the minutes of any left-leaning globalist think tank. It was a disappointment.
It does look rather dull. You can feel quite confident that anything that would embarrass him if it became known publicly would be not included.
In the end, for Jim, the exclusion of anything embarrassing was proof of the conspiracy. So how are you feeling right now?
Vindicated.
On the record, the Bilderbergers told me that they didn't care about the conspiracy theories and that they found them ridiculous.
I've heard of Jim Tucker. I can't say I find them particularly enlightening. I perhaps ought to tell you that when I became Secretary General, I mean, I had a choice. I could either take an immense interest in all the people who poked around and were on the web writing about Bilderberg, or broadly speaking, I could ignore them and get on with my life. And I didn't find it difficult to make the second decision.
But off the record, some Bilderbergers admitted that they loved the conspiracy theories and are always surfing the internet. And I wondered whether the real conspiracy was between the Bilderbergers and those who believed in their evil power. Perhaps both sides like to think that Bilderberg rules the world because the truth is more alarming, that nothing but the flow of money rules the world and nobody controls anything.
One of the most frightening things, of course, if you are anywhere near people who are in charge of governments or large businesses, is how they too are like corks bobbing around on the stream of what's carrying on. I mean, people hugely overestimate the ability of individuals to change the course of history at the moment.
So do you think it's impossible for anybody to secretly rule the world?
I'm absolutely convinced it's impossible for anybody secretly to rule the world.
But Jim is undaunted. He thinks that my interviews with Bilderbergers have solved none of the mysteries. He says he's gone too far to quit now.
I'm pretty much blacklisted from the establishment newspapers, and I was part of the establishment for the first 20 years of my newspaper life. Friends you've known for 20 or 30 years, used to see a lot, drink with, chase girls with. They can't take your call. They're always out of the office. They know there's something up there that they better stay away from. It's evil, very evil. And for so long as I live, I'm going to try to shine a light into that dark corner called Bilderberg. So you're making me feel awful damned important.
Dennis Healy told me that he took many photographs inside Bilderberg meetings. I felt we were getting along well. We were fellow globalists, and I was anxious to see his photographs, see the mood, the faces. Have you got any in a nearby album we could see?
No. Well,